What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast. How is everybody doing this Saturday, man? Appreciate everybody in chat hanging out with us live. We are live, the Shop Podcast. Come back, get your weekends ended the right way, get all that good gaming news in one place with the best panel on YouTube for sure. So appreciate everybody hanging out with us, man. We got an amazing guest. We had a different guest initially. Shout out to Wilmy Hill, but I think we're gonna move him to next week. But shout out to him. Shout out to everybody over there at GBTV, man. Thank you guys so much. But yeah, we'll move him to next week. But we have a fantastic guest this week. I'll go ahead and introduce him here shortly. But once again, shout out to everybody in chat, Sean Sue, everybody hanging out. I see Boba Fett down there, man. Let everybody know we're live. Hit the link below. Let everybody know. Retweet that on Twitter as well. Thank you guys for hanging out with us, man. Come out, kick your feet up. This is what we do here at the Shop Podcast. But let's go ahead and get this over to our guest, man. So man actually was on the show about 3 or 4 months ago, but family, shout out to FSP, Mav, Caitlin, everybody over there. He is part of that hierarchy, I would say. But shout out to you, Jasper, man, hanging out with us, coming through in the clutch, man. Last minute, man. You said you were available, but thank you for hanging out with us, man. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. Lord Jasper on Twitter, Lord Master Jasper on YouTube. That's where I'm at. Me and Pong were just playing. My back's a little sore because I had to carry that old man through Battlefield.
Yes, spicy.
Let's go watch that stream. How many times I revived you?
we getting in the mud early, chat. So what's up, Blue Zinc? Everybody, man. Go ahead, Jasper. My bad.
You're all right. I was just making fun of Pong.
All right, for sure. Well, once again, go check out Jasper. All his information is in the description below. The YouTube channel's down there. The Twitter account's down there. I'm sure that's the easiest way to keep up with what he has going on. Once again, shout out to the FSP fam in the house. I know they're going to be coming through later. They always showing up, showing out, showing love. But once again, chat, appreciate you guys for hanging out. We got a lot to talk about, right? It's been a slow week, right? Like, there's nothing going on. Been an incredibly slow week, man. But we got a lot to unpack, and we're going to do it here at the shop, man. Shout out to Pong. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm just glad that Jasper's parents let him come on the show.
Oh, my goodness.
Bedtime.
This is getting messy.
They called him while we were streaming and asked him if he needed new underwear and socks. So that was a little awkward. But it is what it is. It's great to have Jasper here, of course. He was being extra sweaty in Battlefield, as he always is.
It's not sweaty. That's natural.
Wow. There it is. Just like Steel. I'm just playing the game. Man. That's all I'm doing. Yeah, I know how you guys roll, okay? Now, we were having a great time on Battlefield over on Mav's channel. Obviously, he's streaming right now.
Shout out, Mav.
Def Leppard from Community. We're just having a great time. Battlefield is back for us, at least. Again, totally understand if nobody else is into it, but or if you've lost all faith, but it is playing so well right now. It's absolutely incredible, the turnaround in that game. So we're having a great time with that. Otherwise, this week, Soul Hackers 2. Listen, you guys all know my love for Atlas and for what they got going on and how long this has been coming that they are back on Xbox. And I even tweeted out a picture of the logo because when I fired up Soul Hackers 2, to see that logo on my screen playing my Series X, it was special. This is the golden age.
Screenshots of that today.
Yeah,
people saying
K-Mega's been playing it. Mav's been playing it. Listen, I just put it this way. People always ask, like, what makes Atlas so special? Listen, if you're into JRPGs, they are so unique in their style and how their characters are designed and their stories that it's a lot like Square Enix. When you look at a Square Enix game, you know it's a Square Enix game. When you look at an Atlas game, you know it's an Atlas game. And Soul Hackers 2 so far, a couple hours that I'm in right now, has not disappointed. One of the main characters, Ringo, she is absolutely ridiculously cool. Both the Japanese version and the English version, I've played with both now. I'm sticking to Japanese right now, but both have fantastic acting and just a really great addition to the Xbox ecosystem to have Atlas on over here. Can't wait for Persona 5 Royale to drop, and obviously Golden, 4 Golden, and the 3 PSP, or the portable, I should say, mode one as well. Just really good. So this really is the golden age of gaming. And then on top of it, You were talking about PTK. Nothing happened this week, but we did.
Absolutely nothing.
Listen. We got the best, like most explosive news of all time with Kojima. Shout out to Others Inc. We got Kojima getting a podcast going, announcing it with Keeley. I know Others Inc. is probably already subscribed, so shout out to you, man. I'm not far behind you. I'm going to be listening week in, week out, especially to the one with Keeley and him together. That's going to
be the inaugural show. That's going to be the first show.
Amazing podcasting right there, folks, right there. So that was fantastic. But no, just an overall, just incredible, crazy week. Both bad and good news coming down this week, man. And this was like a mini E3 week. It really was. Really cool to see. Really cool to be a part of on these podcasts. So let's get down to business, PTK.
Well, let's get goddamn into it. And I appreciate you, Pong. I appreciate it, man. Real gamer right there. Shout out to chat. Shout out to Zinc. We know it. I know you already subscribed to the Kojima podcast. You don't have to say anything. I think everybody understands that. What's up, Spartan? What's up, Stanley? Shout out to everybody hanging out with us, man. But we got a lot to unpack, man. Let's get this over to Misty Fuzzy Belvedere. How you been, brother?
Been doing pretty good, man. Just this week has just been let's say different in a way, because the spaces are definitely at an all-time high. But other than that, getting the kids ready for school, because man, next week is back to school for them and everything. So it's just a busy day today. But man, I can't wait to get into some of these topics, because gaming news, there was enough to go around for, like, there was 3 weeks worth in 1 week. And basically Friday was a week's worth all in itself. So let's get to it.
Let's get down to it. And what's up, chat, man? Once again, let us know how you guys feel. Shout out to Only on Xbox. Like I said, shown to everybody hanging out in the chat. Hit the like button if you're brand new and you enjoy the Shop Podcast. You're having a good time. Subscribe as well. You can do this every week for free. I promise you can. It'll be awesome. We do this every week here at the Shop Podcast. But let's dive right into it. We're going to get right into the poll of the week. Shout out to everybody that participate in the poll of the week on Monday on my Twitter account. Once again, all of that information down in the description. If you're new here, that's where it's at. If you're not new, you know where to find me at. But everybody that partakes, thank you guys for being a part of the poll of the week. I do try and keep that streak alive. Pong, I don't know. I think I got the streak back actually this week. We'll see. That remains to be seen here. But let's get into it. So poll of the week this week was 2 of my favorite consoles of all time. Which one would you consider more underrated? Pick 2 consoles. Very hard. Got Sega Dreamcast and Nintendo GameCube. Now, you could say this was bait for Nintendo fans. It might have been. Okay, there might be some truth to that. Because I am a Sega kid, but I assume I'd get a lot more resistance from Nintendo fans that I ended up getting. So it's kind of surprising. So we had 74% Sega Dreamcast, most underrated console, 26% Nintendo GameCube. Jasper, we're starting with you.
Yeah.
Which one are you at, brother? Which one?
I think this Dreamcast is underrated just because I think GameCube is kind of like peak Nintendo in a lot of ways. Like, I feel like everyone's like, man, it's like GameCube was the best. You had the best games like Mario Kart Double Dash, all that stuff. But like, I feel like Dreamcast doesn't get brought up as much. Maybe that's just like a generational gap or something. But that's just me. That's kind of what I think about that.
No, I think there's some truth there. I think I mean, you could argue if you look at GameCube's actual games lineup, one of the strongest like games lineup that like in Nintendo history, I would argue, right? So yeah. There is some truth there. I don't think you're too far off. But Sega Dreamcast, like you said, one of my favorite consoles, probably top 3 of all time for my favorite consoles. Huge library of awesome games. I'm a big fan. You guys know I'm a Sega kid here. Chat, let us know. You Sega kid, Nintendo kid, let us know. Don't worry. If you're a Nintendo fan, you won't get banned. It's okay. All right. You just made a bad choice. You can always change your mind later on. Okay. No big deal. But let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Pong. Get your opinion, bro. Which one did you pick, man? Dreamcast or GameCube?
You're muted, Pong, if you're here.
Oh, he might have stepped away, but go ahead and take Fuss.
I'm here. I'm here. Whatever. I'm not even going to talk about it. Anyways, Dreamcast. You know I'm always going to go Sega. You know it, PTK. I'm always going to go Sega. I think a more fair one would have been Saturn. over Dreamcast.
You think so? I
Yeah.
had to play the Saturn too, but I felt like Saturn was a bit more. I mean, it's not as known as GameCube, so I wanted a bit more fair assessment because Saturn. I know that I know what Saturn is, but a lot of
Yeah, no, and I get it, and I think to Jasper's point too when he was talking about whether or not it's generational, that's a good point, Jasper, because like my generation and like Steele's generation, even
I've never played Dreamcast, so
right, exactly. For those of us that were around for the Dreamcast gets brought up as a lot as a favorite console, right? A lot. So I think it is more known, but I think that the Dreamcast. If I had to pick one of these two, I'd go definitely Dreamcast, just because Nintendo, I mean, the GameCube didn't do as well as Nintendo had hoped. There was some people who, again, just for whatever reason didn't like it, whether it was the controller or whether it was some of the games coming out. It didn't sell as well as they had hoped. It was one of those rare exceptions to the rule for Nintendo. But I think overall Dreamcast is still to this day underrated. Again, for all the people who never got to experience it and only hear about it, they don't understand why, because it was gone so fast, because Sega's downfall was such a dramatic thing. But at the same time, the library of games from the beginning to the end of the Dreamcast were something special. And how far it pushed tech at the time with Windows CE in the box, with the dial-up for internet connection. I was playing, NBA 2K, the original, and NFL 2K online against people in New York, which was crazy, on dial-up with the worst lag you could ever freaking imagine in history. And every once in a while, every once in a while, voices would come through, and it was just insane. But that was all so far ahead of its time. And the VMUs, oh my God, just overall, that system was just a beauty. And so I would definitely say Dreamcast for that one.
Oh yeah, and once again, chat, let us know. What's up, Aaron? Ashtray, no fraud, and I see you and Blue in here. I appreciate you guys. OCD, what's up, brother, as well. So let us know, chat. Sega, was it the Sega Dreamcast or was it the Nintendo GameCube? I was a big fan of both. Now, Pong, did you have a GameCube?
No, but I had friends who did. Again, I was already on Nintendo. One. Yeah. Okay. See, after Super Nintendo, I didn't buy any more Nintendo. Whenever I played Nintendo, it was with a friend. If I was at a buddy's house or a buddy brought it over, whatever the case may be. So I did get to play some of it. I played Star Wars and stuff, of course, on GameCube, which was incredible. But yeah, no, that's the only way I got my Nintendo in was from friends. So
okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, that's a lot of people. I feel like in our generation are kind of at that point with Nintendo. I did the last two Nintendo consoles I own. Actually, outside of the Switch, my wife has a Switch right now, but outside of that were Nintendo 64 and the GameCube. So I did own both. So I was a big fan of that GameCube, but I go Sega, like I said, all day, every day, twice on Sunday. So just because that, like you said, Jasper, it was more of an it's hard to really, Pong. I don't really know how to quantify like what the game, not GameCube, but what the Dreamcast was for our generation. Like it was very short. It happened very fast, but it was so unique.
Mm-hmm. It's like the Wii U. It came out and died.
Yeah, but the Wii U didn't even have anywhere near the library the Dreamcast did. That was the whole thing, because Sega, even though they were no longer like the kings, and there were so many internal problems at Sega, and then of course you had PlayStation, beating them down. They still had so much. What do I want to say? They had such a reputation over in Japan that developers wanted to continue to work on it, and the Dreamcast was very easy to develop for.
Yeah,
it was also easy to pirate.
Like 2010 or something for that. Like
people were still making it.
Yes,
yes. So people loved it. Devs loved it. So Sega Dreamcast got all of these freaking fantastic games from the biggest developers out there, and some of them, again, it was a lot like the 360 with a bunch of unique experiences that you couldn't find elsewhere. It was such a diverse library. It was crazy. Yes, yes, and that was absolutely what carried it, and why so many people were in love with it. And again, the sports games 2K, when those hit, those were a big draw as well for a lot of people to Dreamcast. But you're right, PTK. If you weren't around in that generation, it's always hard to explain because it was a short-lived console, and people look at that and go, well, it must have not been good. No, it was absolutely incredible, and the experiences you had with the 4 controller plugins and everybody coming over and playing, and all the party games that they had on that system, it just really was a unique time with the Dreamcast that we had. So again, I just love it. I just love that era.
Yeah, same here. Big fan. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz. Get your opinion. Once again, chat, let us know GameCube or Dreamcast, which one was more underrated? Once again, no wrong answers, really. We love these polls of the week. Shout out to you, Deploy, Boba Fett, everybody hanging out with us. Thank you guys so much. Where you at on this, Fuzz?
I voted the Dreamcast primarily because of the online capability and stuff, but it was one of the at that point I had already jumped off the Sega ship. Like Saturn was like my last hard-earned dollars that kind of went up in smoke fairly quick. Like after putting all the money into the 32X on the Genesis and the Sega CD.
Yep,
and
I had the 32X,
Saturn, and it was like the Saturn. I don't think had anywhere near the library of what the Dreamcast had, and it seemed like it lasted a little bit longer, but not long enough kind of thing. But just knowing what the Dreamcast had after the fact, even though I was already committed to not giving Sega any more money, looking back, it was what would have probably launched gaming the way we have today into a much earlier state. Like, in other words, what we do today would have probably been 5 years ago type of stuff with what that thing was able to do. But I was never really that much of a Nintendo fan. I knew the GameCube with the controller. That, I think for me, the most part, that was kind of, I don't know. I just wasn't a fan overall.
It was such a unique, like, left field, the little mini disc, all of that was so like left field.
I think that's the last time like major studios were like developing games stack. You got Resident Evil 4 on there. It was like that was
library was crazy, crazy library on that GameCube, man.
But yeah, I give the nod to underrated to Dreamcast on that one.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Once again, chat, no wrong answers. Let us know. Let us know. So, Jasper, I want to throw another question at you here, kind of about the poll of the week. Now, did you own either or? No,
I had a GameCube.
You had a GameCube. Okay. So, all right. So, would you say GameCube is GameCube your favorite Nintendo console, or what's your favorite Nintendo console?
Yeah, I would say GameCube. I probably spent the most time with that. I grew up with a 64, but like I was like 4, so I didn't really know what the hell I was doing.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I would Nintendo 64 is my favorite Nintendo console as well. I'm a big Ocarina of Time. That's my favorite game of all time. So 64 is my, top of the mountain for me.
I'm sorry, BTK. I'm sorry.
What? Sorry about what?
I feel bad. I just feel bad for you. I'm sorry. I felt like I had to say it. Like I, almost shed a tear here when you said that. I'm sorry.
What's the problem? What's the problem?
Nothing.
It's the Super Nintendo was the best one.
Is that what it is? I mean,
No, it's okay. I think the controller of the 64 takes it out of any contention for any talk about the greatest console of all time.
But it had the best analog stick to date.
Yeah, I don't care.
And it's,
you had to hold that thing to use it.
I mean, look, I understand. I get it. I understand. But like I said,
I'm just throwing some slander. I don't care.
I know.
It's funny.
I know, right?
I grew up with a lot of Nintendo stands, so I was around a lot of Nintendo fans for a long time after I switched over to Genesis and Sega, right? So I again, I've been around that fan base, so I know what it's like. Nintendo, again, respect that hustle, and I always respect their place in history. This industry wouldn't be where we are without Nintendo either. So,
absolutely,
got to give them all the credit in the world. So,
definitely, got to give them some love. Got to give them some love. But it's Sega all day. You know what it is. It's Sega all day. But yeah, appreciate that. Well, once again, a great warm-up topic chat. You guys are awesome. Once again, hit the like button if you're new here. Subscribe. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Thank you guys so much.
And yes, Ashtray, the Saturn had a great controller. You were absolutely correct.
Oh, you're right.
That controller, that D-pad was simply awesome. That was one of the most amazing experiences back in the day to have a Saturn controller. I love that thing.
Awesome. Great time for Sega. But let's go ahead and throw this over to my guy Pong. We might as well go ahead and let you kick off the meat and potatoes of the podcast today, brother.
Oh shoot! I didn't know we were doing this. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Let's roll. I don't know, Fuzzy. Do you have a topic that you're prepared for this week that you don't want me to touch?
No, I'm kind of like free flowing it. I'm good.
You're good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Holy cow! How do we want to start this off? All right. Well. Let's see. I never shy away from the messy topic, so let's get into PlayStation.
We thought you were going to do anything else, really, Pong?
Yeah, because there's a lot of cool stuff I want to talk about this week.
True,
but we
true.
do have to bring the smoke. It is like a requirement for all of us that run podcasts that do a fair, criticism of everybody when they do something wrong. And I've seen more. The clown show, the normal clown show, speak up this week, which is good. They kind of moved away from the pack and kind of said this is too far. So I have seen some of that, and I give credit to the people that did do that, but we still see way too much Sony Defense Force out here. So we got to talk about this. This was the bad news. So let's get this out of the way first, and then we'll move on to some really good stuff this week. So for anybody living underneath a rock, or maybe just had to work, 60, 70 hours and had no chance to look up what was going on in this community. Well. It started off this week, of course, we got the news that there was a lawsuit over in the UK for $5 billion against PlayStation, which I personally think is frivolous. You can go watch Hogue Law's video on it. He breaks it down pretty well. I thought right away it was pretty frivolous, but it's still bad attention at the end of the day. It's still got, when you search PlayStation right now, you're not finding too many great articles. So that started off the week, but the big one was, it came out that they had decided in basically around the world, except for the United States, increase the prices of the PlayStation 5. This is unprecedented, folks. For people who don't understand, maybe you haven't been in video games for a long time, maybe you think this is something normal. We have had economic downturns throughout since video games has started. There has always been times when economic hardship has come upon in different varying degrees, but we've had some really bad times as well. This is up there, obviously. This might go down as the worst, but never during any of those times has a video game company increased the price of their consoles, ever. Okay? This has not happened. This is not supposed to happen. But Sony being Sony this week, and I'm not going to make light of it. I don't think it was an easy decision for them because they knew the backlash they were going to get on this. Decided that Europe, the UK, Japan, China, Australia, Mexico, and Canada would all see increases. Now, the increases, depending on the dollar value, all that kind of stuff, we're talking US dollars here, are roughly between $30 and $50 depending on where you live. Okay, that's huge. People can downplay it and say, it's $30, it's $50. Listen, a $50 price cut, a $30 price cut on a console gets celebrated. We've already seen that with the Series S when it goes on sale. So an increase the opposite way is a big deal. And it's a big deal, especially now, due to, obviously, the worldwide status. Everybody's getting hit with inflation right now. In fact, the U.S. is at its highest level since the 70s and 80s, late 70s and 80s. And if you actually redo the calculations the way they did them back then, we're actually above that level. But even throughout the world, some parts are even getting hit harder than us. This right here was a decision that is going to have ramifications down the road. There's no other way to put this. Now, again, let me point out, the U.S. stays the same. That's another problem with this whole decision here, okay? So I'm just going to read real quick. So we got a basis here from IGN real quick. Rebecca Valentine wrote up a piece. The PlayStation 5 is about to get more expensive in most major markets, and Sony says you can blame continued inflation and other global economic troubles. Today on the PlayStation blog, Sony announced that it will be raising the price of both editions of the PS5 in Europe UK, Middle East, Africa, Asia, Latin America, Canada. The United States seems to be the only major market not to get the price increase. The global economic environment is a challenge. This is a quote. The global economic environment is a challenge that many of you around the world are no doubt experiencing, the blog post states. Really? Thanks, Sony. We're seeing high global inflation rates as well as adverse currency trends impacting consumers and creating pressure on many industries. She goes on to say, it is unfortunately not clear from the blog post whether or not these price increases will eventually be brought back down again, or if so, when. Sony concludes its blog post by stating that its top priority is to improve the PS5 supply situation, which has struggled since the console's launch due to ongoing chip shortages. Sony's move follows a very similar one from Meta, which bumped the price of the Meta Quest to $100 late last month for the same reasons. Ampere analysis Piers Harding-Rawls suggests in his own blog post that Sony's move was necessary one to pass on continued cost increases hitting the component supply chain. Harding-Rawls predicts that the price increase will have minimal impact on sales due to continued high demand, and adds that for now there is no indication that Microsoft will make the same move. However, it may take advantage of Sony's price increase to push the value of its own hardware. All right, let's get down into this. Listen, we're all getting hit. We all know that. All the companies are getting hit. People around the world are experiencing the problems with not just high-end electronics, not just with luxury items, but with daily items such as food, gas, etc. So this is something that, again, Sony just had gotten done coming out and talking about their record-breaking profits. And since August of last year, they were making money off of each console. Okay, that normally doesn't happen for a longer period of time in the console generations. Normally, consoles are taking a loss until they can get the tech caught. You know, the tech catches up. They get the chips shrunk down. You know, they redo. We get a refresh where they slim it down. We've seen all that before. Costs come down in production as the generation goes on, and then they start making money off the hardware. They were already making money. They just talked about record-breaking profits. And they went ahead and decided that due to the costs, due to the inflation, again, all real, business side of thing, this is totally all facts, totally understand what's happening here. But they decided instead of eating those costs themselves, that they're going to pass this on to the consumers. And they're going to pick and choose which consumers they're going to pass it on to, because they're not doing the United States. Why aren't they doing the U.S.? Well, some people out here want to use big brain stuff and talk about macroeconomics and talk about the strength of the dollar and all that kind of stuff. I call BS. They are in a battle with Xbox in the United States, an absolute battle. So they looked at these other territories where they're still, on the favorable side of things right now, maybe, 1.5 times, maybe 2 to 1 in some areas over Xbox. And they said, nope, we can take advantage of those people over there because we already got our lead over there. And guess what? Because we can't supply enough of these anyways and demand so high, we know those people. Yes, we're going to lose some customers. We're going to have some people say, I'm not buying one at this price. But that's okay because we're probably not going to be able to get those people a PS5 anyways right away. But we know there's a big enough percentage that will continue to fork out the extra money. So we're going to take advantage of all those territories where we are having more success in. That's exactly what they did here. All right. So my question to you all, and we'll start with obviously our guest, Jasper. Jasper, when you look at this, are you on the Sony Defense Force side and just want to chalk it all up to business and, hey, you know what? You guys should be thankful that you're out here.
Yeah, just skip Starbucks a week,
Exactly.
Right?
And if you can't afford it right now, well, guess what? You shouldn't be buying a PS5 anyways. You're a broke boy, so you shouldn't be here. So are you on that side, or are you on the other side where this feels like a slap in the face to consumers from a consumer standpoint to carry the costs of a company that just shared their record profits and stated that they're making money on each console.
Well,
where are you at with this one, Jasper?
If you just look at the history of announcement we've seen from PlayStation, like I believe it was like either the beginning of this year or early or late last year, they've cut out some materials in the processing to like reduce costs. They cut out the heatsink. They like took off like 30% of the metal or something like that. So they're saving money in different spots. So they're already saving money there. At the beginning of this month, they said we're increasing production. So it's like, why are we getting a price increase if you increase production and cutting out material costs? So it's just kind of like, if you just look at it, it's like, what the hell's going on
and
here?
that's just from an economic standpoint. That's not even like all the other stuff. But go ahead, Jasper.
Yeah, and then like at the same time, like the same people that buys an iPhone every year, they're just they don't care about the extra $50. So like if it's on the shelves, they're gonna buy it anyway. They know that they can just get those people with it being limited supply chain right now. If it's on the shelf, people are gonna buy it. So it upfront, they don't care about it as long as they get an extra $50 out of you. That's kind of where they're at.
Right, exactly, Jasper. Great points, especially again backing up what we were talking about. They were already on their way to reducing costs for this very reason. Again, why pass it on to the consumer as a business? PTK optics here, optics. This is where it crosses over. Let me say this first. The people out in the Sony Defense Force that want to take the business side all the time, and they come into people's conversations who are speaking as a gamer, as a consumer, from the emotional side of things and saying this is wrong, this is not right, you don't do this to your customers, and they come in and try to shut down the conversation by talking these big-brained ideas about the business side of things. You're all wrong. Okay, if you enter a conversation with somebody who is actually discussing the business side, fair game. But when you jump into the other side, because there is two sides, there's a business side and a consumer side, where it kind of crosses over is the optics, right? Sony had to know, I'm sure, again, that this was not a quick decision. I'm sure they did a lot of analytics, did a lot of discussion on how they were going to handle this and what they were going to do. But PTK, when you look at the optics standpoint, and you take a look at what kind of built, especially, let me also mention that Xbox and Nintendo have both made statements now stating that they have no plans at this time to follow suit, right? So optics-wise, you're starting to see articles like this one being written, more articles being written about this. From your standpoint, as a gamer, as a consumer, PTK, whether you're in the market for PS5, whether you're not, doesn't really matter at this standpoint. You're old enough. You've bought plenty of consoles throughout your life. You've been in this hobby for a long time. You get it. From an optics standpoint, what is this going to cost Sony in the long term? What do you think?
So the cool thing about being Sony is that you do have this reputation that you can lean on in times of need. It's like a get out of jail free card. We can always lean on our brand strength, right? When things come up, and they tend to do that throughout history, right? Like they tend to always get the favorable bounce, they get the favorable journalism, so they've always been able to lean on their brand strength, and I think they will continue to do this. Now it does look extremely bad short term because your direct competition's not. So Xbox is doing everything to show you how much value you can get out of this system, from the ecosystem to the Game Pass. That's pretty much been Xbox's biggest selling point this entire generation. And you pretty much just handed them free PR. Like, so that's not something that Sony typically does. So like you said, I know it had to be some back office conversations, some very sweaty palms, some very, very tough conversations to be able to like make this decision. So I do understand that as well, Pong. We don't want to be vain here, like we don't understand business, because we do understand business. But like you said, this is unprecedented. This has never happened before, ever. And like you said, you made a great point. We've gone through these dips in the economy before. This is not a blip on the radar. This happens fairly regularly. Matter of fact, so regularly that they almost can predict it to the date when it's kind of going to start and end. So it's a trend. So understanding all of that, it doesn't make any sense, especially us knowing, like you said, the big three the last 2 years had record profits. And like you said, this is the first time in Sony's history they've been able to turn a profit on the hardware this soon. Usually it takes 3, 4, 5 years, depending on how things are going. But usually it takes a lot longer to start turning that profit. So after all of that, you still turn around and then bump it up in particular areas, it's crazy. That's insane to me. I don't know how you can defend that at all. I have go ahead.
No, I'm saying yes. Continue.
Oh, okay. No, I just don't understand it. To me, logically, it doesn't make any sense. I put this out on Twitter. It almost feels like they called a meeting. They said, "Okay, Jim, we gave you your Game Pass stuff, right? Like we gave you your PC stuff. Like, okay, we're cool there. It's our turn now.
Yep.
Like our part of the deal starts now, and we need to bump these prices up." It's almost like a favor. It almost feels like a favor for a favor. They let him do his little Game Pass like service. They gave him that. They let him start putting some things on PC. Like, okay, we'll do that for you too. But now it's our turn.
Yep.
Now you're gonna have to bump these prices up because we need to still make that money. So it just, I don't know. It feels like kind of a backdoor deal. But I don't know, Paul. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. And I think you make great points, PTK, because they are leaning heavily into the loyalty aspect. And like I said, they picked and chose who they were going to put this on. And again, that's where it really gets me because it wasn't across the board.
That's what stuck out to me. Yep. That specifically.
Exactly. And I think, goes to a lot, as you were just talking about, you're on point, from my opinion, that a lot of this has to do with the changes that they are currently in the process of making. Because, again, we do have to remember, PlayStation is so important to Sony Corp. They are the bread and butter of Sony Corp right now. Outside of the insurance and the camera division, PlayStation is the main breadwinner in that corporation. And they can't afford, when they already set their projections, they already have their profit expectations for the investors. And if they were to eat the costs, they would not meet those, which in turn would hurt their stock. And we've already seen their stock take a dip since the Activision Blizzard deal. Mm-hmm. So I think what they did here is those backdoor meetings are spot on. When they were talking about this stuff, they said, look, we are investing heavily in PlayStation right now, more heavily than we thought we were going to have to because of what Xbox is doing. We're trying to change our whole business model right now. So guess what? We can't eat this right now. We have to put this on the consumers. Now, again, that's from their standpoint. I'm not saying they needed to do that. There's other ways to eat these costs. But they are saying that, and I believe from the corporation side saying, no, This is not acceptable. We cannot have another stock drop. We can't miss our forecasts. We have to hit, and we're trying to do all this other stuff on top of it that we need to keep our money flow the same. We can't chip away at it by eating these costs right now. So consumer, gamer, sorry. You're getting hit with our bill.
And mind you, they just went on a big shopping spree, probably the biggest shopping spree they've had in Sony and PlayStation history. They bought how many studios in the last, 2 years? How many studios they purchased? About 4 or 5?
6,
probably
almost,
something like Haven. That. Yeah, almost 6 or so.
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe they're like trying to get more profits so they can acquire more because they're afraid that Microsoft's going to come in and like buy up the competition. They're like, we got to protect our fucking future. It's like,
it is. I think they're in defensive mode, obviously, because they are behind right now, and I think that's a big part of this. But this is a big blow. And Fuzzy, talking about that, leaning into their loyalty factor, this harkens back, and I'm not the first to say this by any stretch of the imagination, but those of us old enough to remember these generations, we know how Sony has played the game, and we know what kind of attitude and stances they've taken generation in and generation out as the leaders of the industry for a long time, along with Nintendo, of course. But again, Nintendo does its own thing. But this harkens back to the PS3 era. This harkens back to Kaz standing up on stage and announcing the price of the PlayStation 3.
$599 US.
$599. And then interviews later saying that our customers will be happy to get a second job to purchase this console.
you know they want to go 600, but they're like, we can't do that again.
That was the metric before the metric. That's the pre-metric.
That really was, and that's that Sony ego. And it seems like coming off one of their best generations, ever in the PlayStation 4 for a variety of different reasons, and being, obviously the leaders out the gate and thinking that they were just gonna kind of dominate and kind of just, again, Xbox would be a speed bump at best this generation. They had all the momentum and they were just going to continue that, and nothing was going to change. Fuzzy, from your standpoint, when you see this, is this a part of that Sony ego coming back a little bit here? Yeah, I just talked about how they're in defense mode, but are they still kind of holding on to that old way and kind of just saying, again, Kaz in his speech when he was up there announcing this, the 599, people forget too. I saw the video again this week and I had to laugh. He opened with, "We say when the generation starts."
Yep.
Listen, you got to have some big cojones to go up there and say something like that, right? That's got a lot of ego behind it. So, Fuzzy, from your standpoint, are we seeing a return to form or something that's always kind of been there? We just didn't notice as much during the PS4 because they really didn't have to flaunt a whole lot. What do you think, Fuzzy? Are we back to the egotistic Sony again?
I do think we are. And it's kind of funny. Earlier on, I was saying this kind of gives me a PS3 vibe this generation, just starting out. And it's one of those things where it always seems like there's a generational flip. Whoever is the top dog one generation, the next generation, they find some way to trip over their own feet type of deal. And it just seems like looking at, let's just be honest. They made a statement within the first year. I think it was like within the first 8 months of the PS5 selling that they were already making a profit. Now, this is an industry where typically you go in with a loss leader to at least get people's foot in the door so you can, get the money out of them via the purchases of software and such. So the fact that they made mention within the first 8 months that, oh yeah, we're turning a profit, and I think, and I remember Double Barrel Gaming, Mr. Boomstick had looked at like the timeline of when that happened. They were at like 10 million units at that point, and they've gone to sell like another 12 million units at a profit. So yeah, you're going to go ahead and crank up the screws or turn up the wrenches to, do more production. You're going to go ahead and make a claim that, because of the increases, which it's valid. The increases on components is a real thing, but that has occurred at other times in this industry and in other electronic industries. And they already started off this generation with charging that extra $10 for controller features or next gen or however you want to put it. That also goes to their whole ego thing. It's like, oh, we believe in generations, and oh, by the way, we're going to collect our $10 extra for that generational stuff. That even though it's cross gen, but it just seems like Sony is at odds with itself. Like I think there's some old guard there that are still high up the food chain that are above Jim in some way, and not to defend Jim in any way, but they are the ones that are still like, we need to get that extra money out of the consumer. Like rumor has it that they wanted actually to hit as high as $80 for games starting this generation. And I think, some of the executives over at Take-Two kind of talked them down from that. So it just seems like they already had this in their heads that, we can turn our profit margins even higher by just doing little incremental increases here and here. And now that, they're actually having to eat some of that cost as far as the components or the threat of that, they're like, oh no, we need to still make our 30% or 35% or whatever the magic number is behind closed doors. They probably have a number somewhere in that realm, because that used to be my neck of the woods when it came to automotive stuff made over in China and then reselling it. And you had to have a certain margin to cover your exporting costs, your distribution costs and all that stuff. Yep. So yeah, they probably had that magic number and they're like, oh no, it's dropping to 28%. I'm sorry, go ahead.
You're good. I kind of wonder if because they were the last one to announce price when this was first unlaunched, right? So I'm wondering if they wanted the digital to be 500 and the disc one to be 600.
I suspected that from get-go. I suspected it just for the fact that they already felt that $600 was a reasonable thing, even though back when the PS3 came out, $600 wasn't really reasonable. But nowadays they're like, oh, well, times have changed. People have more disposable income. $600 sounds reasonable, and if they don't want to spend the $600, we have that $500 option, much like they did when the PS3 came out. It's just that instead of hard drive size difference, it's disc or no disc, which they already saw that most of their consumers are switching to digital, so they were kind of fixing the glitch, I guess you could say, and kind of forcing people into that, because that definitely locks you to the ecosystem. So they were all about it, even though they didn't probably produce as many. Because I still think that thing was like a
you get an extra $50 or whatever out of you.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just one of those things where they keep on making these moves that their defense force that's out here in droves on the Bird app just seem like either obviously they're being disingenuous to some extent, but even me as someone that, yes, I'm in a country where it doesn't affect me directly, and I already have a PS5 in hand, but I've been seeing these moves from get-go that they are trying to squeeze every nickel and dime out of us. And it's not to say that, oh, you have to be well off the game. That's not the case, because we've had discussions on other places as far as like when some individuals in the community were making mention, like, with people, struggling to put food on the table, is this really the right time to raise a price on, entertainment? And yes, I understand some people say, well, if you're in that position, you shouldn't be gaming, but I remember growing up, and by no stretch of the means was I a rich kid by any stretch. My parents were middle class, but it was only my dad working within the government, and I know he'd work longer hours to get that ColecoVision under the tree, or to get the Aquarius computer under the tree, or to get me the Commodore 128 for my birthday type of stuff. So even when people struggle, they still want to either take care of their kids and provide things that either they didn't have growing up, or at least some benefit to reward them for, like, let's say they do excellent in school. You're going to want to reward your kid for busting their butt, in school, because hopefully when they get to your age, they'll be, well off on their own type of thing. But it's just, to me, yes, the arrogance is definitely back. I think they're going to go through another humbling phase about a year from now, especially the way the format looks like for 2023 with game releases. I think there will be some humbling, but I think they're going to also get on the backside of things. Like, yes, their loyal customer base will still buy it, even if it's $50 more. But at some point, people are going to be like, that's enough. And most of your casuals are going to be like, well, I'll just wait for a sale. And if that console isn't going on sale, it's going up in price, they'll look the other way, because, well, now I can get a family pass and save even more money, or I can get this subscription service and test out the games before I have to buy them. I don't have to worry about buying a game I didn't like and then trying to get $5 back from GameStop later type of thing. So
I think they have more TV shows and movies IPs of theirs coming out next year than they do games.
Yeah.
As far as we know currently, that's a great point, Jasper. That is absolutely true.
So it's definitely like 2013 all over again, but the tables have turned type of deal. It's just they got their arrogant strut back, because PS4 generation was, wasn't as big as PS2 as far as hardware sales, but software sales and DLC and microtransactions and all that 30% cut from the storefront. Yeah, they cleaned up. So they're a bit full of themselves, and I hear you, Jasper. I think they may have wanted to do a $600 PS5 with disc and $500 digital edition. And like I said, there were already rumors about wanting to do an $80 game, and now it's like kind of like what you guys had mentioned before, the backdoor deal. Jimmy got what he wanted in the beginning. Now let's go back to the prices we originally discussed when we wanted to do this generation, and that's where they're at. And it just seems like the worst time. And I'll have to give a shout out to Crazy Louie, because I think he's onto something when he said ever since they snitched in Brazil, it seems like they keep on stepping on rakes. It's like every other day there's a bad news story about them. It's like they jinxed themselves. I don't know. They walking different now. They're moving different as far as how they're in this industry. But man, so, I've rambled enough. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I want to make a quick, before we get back to you, Pong, I want to make a quick point about just this topic here. And shout out to Gabe, everybody in chat, Deploy, Zinc, what's up, brother? Shout out to Sour Blow. He was in here for a little bit as well. Shout out to Louis, XBI over there, Silent. But I think it's so funny. This is so Pong, and I feel like you're going to agree with me 100% on this. This is a large company. So we're seeing a large company having to make changes extremely fast, having to adapt to changes in the market extremely fast in real time. We're watching Sony squirm, and I mean that respectfully. Yep. And it's not like, oh, Sony's falling apart. No. I mean squirm as we're just watching a very gigantic company have to make real life changes because the market is going a completely different direction, and they were not set up for that.
Correct.
So a lot of this is just the fallout from them not having a counter. They have nothing to counter Game Pass. This whole idea of 2 billion customers versus 200 million, where there was a hard cap on that idea, they were willing to go into another generation with that same idea. They were okay with it. They were going to go same, copy paste. Let's do our thing. We'll sell a ton of first party stuff. Our first party stuff will be better than Xbox's. And it didn't go that way. Game Pass came out. Cloud's gotten where it's gotten at this point. All these different options. Amazon's throwing his hat in the ring. All these things are happening really fast, and Sony's just not structurally set up for that, and they're not financially set up for that as well. We're seeing them have to do that in real time, and it's not pretty. Right. I think they're gonna figure it out at some point, but it's not pretty. So I just wanted to make that point.
No. You make great points, PTK, because it's something they probably never thought they were going to have to do, and now that they are, you can see them fumbling a lot, and you can see the mixed messaging. You could see a lot of problems that we haven't seen from Sony because they didn't have to put themselves out there like this for the PlayStation 4 generation. It was handed to them. So now that they're forced to do these things, you can see that they're unprepared, that they weren't ready for this change right now, that they probably thought they had a lot more time. I mean, again, there's other rumors out there that they were going to come into this generation if the pandy hadn't happened, and they were going to try to overwhelm Xbox right out the gates and have God of War ready, have Horizon Forbidden West ready. They were going to try to, within the first 12 months, have I think it was 7 or 8 first party titles launch, but the pandy obviously crushed them, and that was the first setback. And then things just kind of kept snowballing over and over again as Xbox gained momentum, as things started happening, as acquisitions, starting with the ZeniMax deal right before pre-orders of Xbox Series consoles went up. Here is Xbox coming out announcing that they just acquired ZeniMax, right? All this stuff has led to this point right here, and they've got a lot of work to do. And I want to go back to Fuzzy's point too, because Steele and I talked about this morning. Fuzz, you brought up a great one. Again, for the enthusiast out there, the Sony diehard, the loyalist, they're going to pay the extra funds to get a PlayStation 5. In fact, a lot of them are probably going to get a PlayStation 5 sooner than they would have, because this is, outside of the US, of course, this is going to get rid of some of the excess people, the demand, okay? This is going to shave off a portion of that. But at the same time, as you were talking about with parents, this holiday season, there are going to be parents hunting a PlayStation 5 down for the kids. And like you said, Fuzzy, the things that are said from gamers when it's an emotional state, when we're all kind of speaking out against this, and if you say, hey, people are struggling to put food on the table and all that kind of stuff, I've seen those too. I know Boom got hammered for his comments about it by some of the Sony Defense Force in there. But that emotional response, sure, it seems a little extreme, but at the same time, your point, Fuzzy, parents go the extra mile, no matter what situation they're in, to provide their kids something special during holidays, birthdays, etc. Mm-hmm. We all have been out there. We've worked extra time if needed to get our kids something a little bit extra for Christmas or a little extra for a birthday. And so you can sit back and say, well, if you're worried about food and all that kind of stuff, you shouldn't be worried about PS5. Well, that's easy to say, but we've also all made sacrifices for video games, and parents make sacrifices for the kids. So that $30 to $50, when they're out there working their butts off to even get to the regular price point to be able to purchase that, when that equates to almost a game too, along with that console, that is a big deal to those parents. And when it comes to holiday season this year, because I do think the economy unfortunately is going to get worse come winter. We're going to see some other stuff happen, and these people are struggling just to make it to that point. Now you ask them to come up with an extra $50. Yeah, that is a big deal, and there is an alternative And some of those people are going to turn to the alternative in Xbox when they start seeing the value over there. When they go in the store and they see this stuff, or they go online and they're starting to look at things, and all of a sudden that ad for the Xbox pops up next to the PlayStation 5 that they're looking at, and they click over and they see what they can get for a lot less. And that's going to start changing some minds. So I think that was a great point, Fuzzy, because that is also a big thing. Yeah.
Remember that PlayStation 5s aren't really sold by themselves. They're like in a bundle with 3 games. So it's like $900 now instead of $500.
Correct. Yes, absolutely. In some of these countries, it is $900 with tax for a system right now. So look, this is a terrible look for Sony. This is a terrible way to do things. We know that they announced it this week during Gamescom because so many people were focused on Gamescom. So they tried to, do this blog post and kind of slide it out there. But they also have a showcase coming up next month. We can almost assuredly count on that. They're going to have a showcase. This is what they do. They're going to have a big showcase beginning of September and try to wash all of this away. My last point on this, and then we can move on. Sony, if you're so concerned about your cash, if you're so concerned about your profit margins and obviously your investors and your yacht-toting corporation, listen, how about you stop making deals for exclusive content like you did with Harry Potter? How about that BS from the early 2000s kind of gets thrown out the windows? And yeah, I know you've done deals here and there, obviously Avengers, that kind of stuff. How about you knock off that stuff if your money's so important? Stop wasting your money on these frivolous timed exclusivity deals that don't in any way, shape, or form really at the end of the day make a gigantic difference one way or another. Again, this stuff is just so irritating, especially again this Harry Potter thing. To get an extra mission for Harry Potter. Harry Potter's a beloved IP. It's across the globe. There's going to be people buying it on every system. Stop wasting your money on this nonsense.
Destiny all over again.
Right. Stop wasting your money on this nonsense and focus on what you got to get done to catch up to the ecosystem that is Xbox right now. How about you do that? How about you stop this and worry about actually catching up to the tech that's available right now so you can offer your consumers, hey, cross saves. How about that? How about we start there? How about maybe free saves, maybe free cloud saves for your customers? How about you focus on getting all of that caught up instead of doing these dumb deals that you guys got going on? And if you're going to marry Square Enix, for God's sakes, put a ring on it and just be done with it, okay? Okay, this is just stupid. Again, not a good look for Sony. We need to call this stuff out. Again, part of me says, well, this is what you Sony fans get. You guys sit out here and defend them all the time. You defend them over $70 price points. You sit out here and preach, oh, we've got the premium experience. You sit around and tell everybody if you're too broke to afford a PlayStation, too bad. This industry started as a kids industry. This was a kids gaming. It still is heavily a kids industry as well. And you all trying to treat this like some high-end rich guys hobby is sickening, okay? That's not what this hobby is supposed to be about, okay? Yes, the enthusiasts, sure, we're all going to spend a little bit more in different ways, but to try to gatekeep people out of this because they can't afford something and that your billion-dollar company can't eat some costs during a tough time, that's wrong, and it is sickening to me, and you got to get some help for that stuff because that's not what this industry is supposed to be about. That's exact opposite of what Xbox is trying to do. Yeah, Xbox is still in business. Xbox still expects to make a lot of money off of this. Make no mistake. But while they're doing that, they're also doing good things to lower the barrier to entry on this industry. They're also doing good things to allow more people to have access to the same type of games that we do as the enthusiasts, as the console owners, even if they can't own a console. That's what they're doing, and that's how they're going to win this generation, is by doing that, by inviting more people in to this amazing hobby instead of trying to exclude people and put up barriers. That's why I look at this and say, kind of on one side, I go, well, this is what you guys deserve because you're going to sit out here and defend it. You're going to sit out here and preach their words. You're going to treat this like your Apple fanboys, who that's exactly what they do too. We're going to pay whatever they ask because it's a premium product. It's the best in the world. Listen, you do that, it makes the company's decisions when they do these types of deals, when they have to go in the boardroom, they have to talk about this stuff, and they talk about passing on costs to the consumer, it makes them that much easier for them to make that decision. Is it a major part of the decision? No, but they damn well know they got a big group of you out here who are loud. You may not be a majority by any stretch of the imagination, but you are loud, and you will stand up and defend them for anything that they decide to do. And they know that. That's part of that loyalty that they take advantage of in these situations. Stop it. Stop it. The Xbox side of things, yes, we have our own clown show as well. But I can tell you that we got a lot more bigger portion of that clown show that stands up when Xbox does something wrong. Remember Xbox Live Gold, when they tried to raise the price, it was almost universal. Almost. There was some people trying to defend it, but it was almost universal here in this community. We all stood up and said no. And within under 24 hours, they had that thing reversed and added a little bit extra cherry on top to say sorry when they did away with the free-to-play games needing gold. So listen up. Y'all need to start fixing your problems, and you need to start speaking up against these corporations. They don't care about you. You are a number. And if that number stands up and say, I'll pay more, guess what? They're going to give it to you. All right, so knock it off. That's all I got to say, PTK.
Charge them more.
Not going to say, now that we've exercised those demons, chat, right? I think we've gotten that air clear. And I'm going to put this up on the screen because this is a goddamn top S tier comment right here. Shout out to Victor. He said, problem now is Sony lacks vision. Moneymakers like Matrix, Zaslav, and Jim Ryan are not the best for running things. Visionaries like Spencer and Kevin Feige are the best for running things. So I do 110% agree. That's two different types of people, that were that for two different types of jobs. So, Jim Ryan's great at making money and seeing the dollars and the X's and O's, but I don't know if he's, a visionary. But to be fair to him, he is fighting just tradition at Sony as well, too. So we got to kind of balance that out. But that was a great topic. Now we're going to throw this over to Fuzz. Hopefully something a little bit more positive. Now that we got that out of the way, we're probably going to go a different direction here. But
like for the most part, we've been talking about games and controversy in games, and I don't want to really call it cancel culture, but there's overall a difference in games compared to, like, let's say 10 years ago. Your Grand Theft Autos, your original Saints Rows, and things like that. Now when they come out, seem to be a little, I wouldn't say necessarily watered down, but they are, somewhat edited or clipped to some extent as far as their overall messaging. Well, thanks to Gamescom, we got some additional clips of a upcoming game that's coming day and date to Game Pass, and it seems like they must have missed the memo about reducing some of the controversy in their game. And I guess my big question is, as someone that's also very excited for High on Life coming out here soon, how do you guys feel, or do you guys think that this game will make it to gold or go gold with some of the stuff that we saw, or some of the spicy stuff that we've seen in some of the clips, which to me is like kind of the norm stuff? But do you think that will make the final cut, or do you think there will be a counter uproar to kind of not necessarily stifle, but edit or reduce some of the, references to shootable kids or things along those lines in the upcoming game? So I'll start with you, Jasper. Do you think High on Life gets the, easy touch as far as not much editing? It's going to be kind of like a Rick and Morty show, or do you think that some of the ESRB or whatever will stand up, or even some of the other nations with, like, I forget the one for Europe and stuff, but do you think that they may come in and say that's got to hit the cutting floor and stuff like that?
No, I think the Squanch team, that's the people that make the game, I think they're so passionate about their project. Like, if they couldn't get it on Xbox or PlayStation, whatever, if they could only get it on Steam, they would do that. I think they don't care. Like, if they can't put their game out the way they want, they're not doing it.
Yeah, bingo. That was my answer. Dead ass.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, I know with Pong, I'll go to you next with Saints Row. I know I've heard your disappointment with some of the changes and stuff, and yeah, it is a watered down or more muted version. And we kind of feel to some extent that GTA 6 may experience some of that same watering down.
Don't
but
say that.
I don't mean to put it out there.
I know.
But do you think that we see any additional pushback? I know there's pushback on Hogwarts, which I don't want to get into that right now. But do you see any potential pushback with this game coming out? I guess it's was it early December now?
Yeah,
is the new date. Do you see them having to edit anything or nix anything before it goes gold?
No, I don't. I think this, again, I've talked about this. We talked about this a lot because I went through the IGN comments underneath the article about High on Life, and there's a lot of soft people. Again, we already know that society has gone way soft. It's. I could not believe some of the comments. Well, I could believe it, but it still catches me off guard when I read them. I'm like, are you guys serious right now? But I think that Xbox approved this knowing full well what it was going to be. I don't think they hit it.
Agreed.
I do think I got this funny story, man, because I come up with these funny stories. Since we can't be flies on the wall, and since I fancied myself a writer at one time, so I have a pretty good imagination. So I come up with these crazy stories. But I always see the devs presenting this to Xbox when they came in and they were talking about getting this game onto Game Pass and onto the ecosystem, and they're presenting it. And there's Phil and Sarah on one side of the table sitting over there shaking their heads going, no, this is not Xbox. This is not the type of game we bring in to our ecosystem. Because I'll be honest, I can guarantee you there's a ton of Japanese games that Phil and Sarah probably have turned down that they wouldn't allow, that Nintendo of all places has on their storefront, for God's sakes. But I really do think they do have some filters for some content that they just don't approve of. And I think this probably was there. And so I have this picture that Phil and Sarah shaking their head no, but there's Greenberg on the other side pounding the table going, no, Phil, no, Sarah, this is exactly what we need. We need some spicy stuff. This gets people interested. This is a part of diversity of our ecosystem. We need a game like this in there and pounding the table for this game and finally winning them over. I think once the approval went through, I think with Xbox, they once they approve it and they say okay to something, they're going to let the devs put it out the way that they created it, and that was their vision, right? And they're going to put up with the backlash, as stupid as it's going to be. They're going to put up with that backlash, knowing that this game does drive interest one way or another to Xbox. And if it turns out to be a great game, outside of just the crazy stuff that's being said in it, if it turns out to be a great playing game and it happens to get one of those kind of pushes where all of a sudden everybody's streaming this because it's so outrageous and everybody's got to watch it and everybody's got to see it, then that will bring people in. People will try it on Game Pass, and people might join up and sign up for 1 month of Game Pass to try out High on Life, right, for $10. That certainly is a possibility. So no, I think they're going to leave it as is and let the creators run with this, because they already approved it and they had to know what the game was about. Them showing it on the stage at Gamescom on Xbox stage when they were streaming and going through the process of using nonstop bleeping out during the stream shows me that Xbox knew what was happening. I mean, the girl who was interviewing them, I forgot her name, my apologies. The girl who was interviewing them was so uncomfortably awkward when it came, like, she was trying not to laugh, but she was laughing, but she's like, I don't know if I should be laughing at this. And you could see the devs kind of shifting in their chairs because they kind of know it's out there. It was great. But I think that seeing that officially on their stage being streamed out to the world says that Xbox is okay with all of it. So I think it's done deal.
Awesome. Yeah, I would love to have been a fly on the wall for that meeting, and I agree with you. I could see Greenie ready to flip the table or something. I'm out of here if you don't prove this type of thing.
Hopefully that's not a problem with that game streaming it, like, because they've already taken down some clips of just the game itself. So I'm just wondering how these, I'm wondering how some of these
which is
platforms...
not actually a kid, folks. By the way, that's not a kid.
That wasn't the whole clip. I know people that clip is circulating that part, but if you watch the entire clip. His mother shows up a little later in the clip and says that he's a 30-year-old man. So,
even Twitter tried to,
take it down, ban it, or whatever.
So whatever else is in this game that we haven't seen yet, I'm wondering if there's going to be stuff those platforms don't like when you stream it.
I mean, maybe there might be.
I assume when we get the gun that shoots his kids out, I think there's going to be some spicy conversations on that.
God, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be so cool.
I feel like there's gonna be a gun that's just like, put me in your mouth and suck me or something.
I shout out to the devs though. Again, we need this. You just brought up, what they've done to Saints Row, in my opinion. Not everybody. Everybody's having fun time with it. Great. Yeah. Fantastic. I love you all, and I hope you have a great time with it. But for those of us that do look at that and fear Grand Theft Auto, that we still have devs out here who kind of give the middle finger to all PC and just say, no, we're gonna push the line. We're gonna get up on that line and see how far what we can get away with. We need that. That's a part of art. It's a part of every creative industry out there. You got to have those people that push the boundaries, and I'm so happy that there's still at least one dev studio willing to do this. So shout out to them.
Just to kind of throw my point in here before I know we're probably going to move on here, but
I was going to come to you next.
Okay, for sure. For sure.
Good segue.
For sure. But I just think that this is what I think. So I know you just said that Phil and Sarah may have been a little uncomfortable in the meeting, right? I think Phil might have been laughing at this shit. I think he might have been laughing like, this shit is funny. Like, we need something like this. Like, I love the fact that they allowed them to do this. Like, I just love the fact that they allowed this game to, and they're highlighting the game. Like, it's not just this game is coming to Xbox. No, they're putting this game front and center. This game got a large chunk of its own showcase. Like, this isn't some game they're just saying, okay, it's on here, made by Rick and Morty, because they could do that. They could just say, oh, look at this Rick and Morty game and try and live off of the publicity that comes with. But no, they're pushing the game itself. Like, this is going to be a game you're going to want to play. You're going to want to buy this. It's in Game Pass. It's fun. It's edgy. And I love, and that's what Xbox is, the variety. I love it. So I really don't think there was an issue when they brought this idea to the table. I can definitely see some people in the meeting like being a little uncomfortable, but I definitely think that, Matt Booty, everybody who needs to sign off on this was like, oh yeah, we're doing this. Like, for sure. Like, we're going to do this shit. Like, this is going to be something that's huge for Xbox. And the big thing, like you said, if the game actually plays well, because ultimately that's what matters, right? I think we're all in the same, if this thing plays not good, it doesn't matter how funny it is, right? It won't be good. So as long as it plays well, combat's good, and for all intents and purposes, it looks good. Graphically it looks good. Obviously the humor is there, but it looks fun to play in totality. As long as that happens, I think this is a huge feather in Xbox cap.
I kind of get like the vibes, not necessarily comparing these two games, but remember Sunset Overdrive and how colorful that was. And it wasn't necessarily the over the top type of comedy, but it did have a lot of comedic situations as far as like the death animations and things like that. I kind of get this feeling that this could be kind of that what Sunset Overdrive would have been, either if it sold better or Xbox pushed it a little bit more type of thing. And I think that this is going to be one of those standouts before the flood of games of 2023. But I can't wait for this game to come out. Loving it more and more every time I see it. And then the fact that they have like just the variety of voices and satire, and there's like, was it 2 hours of content on like the TV screens as you go through, like from your house or see billboards and stuff, or you're in a store where there's like a commercial. Yeah, they have tons of like side content, not including just the content of like what the characters and things like that will say. So this definitely looks like it's going to be kind of I wouldn't say a big hit, but I think it will be a hit on Xbox this holiday, and it'll probably help them move a lot of consoles and sell some subscriptions at the same time. But thank you guys. Awesome feedback on that. Let's, fingers crossed that more and more devs continue, striving with their original vision or dream on their games.
Absolutely. And just to add a little bit, so people who didn't know that Jez got to play this game at Gamescom because he was out there, and he actually described the gameplay as a Bulletstorm-like game. So if you guys remember Bulletstorm, absolutely gem of 360, and it got remastered for the Xbox One. Go play it if you haven't yet. Awesome game. But he said that's what the gameplay reminded him of as well. So
if that's any indication, we're in for a good game. We're in for a wild ride. If that's any indication, Bulletstorm, very underrated game made by Epic. So a lot of people don't even know that. But all right, so that's a great segue too, because I want to talk about Gamescom. We didn't really get to Gamescom in totality. That was the other big thing that happened this week, obviously. But I want to talk about a little bit about that, because I put out a topic chat. If you didn't go see it, follow me on Twitter. And whoa, I'm moving too fast here. Wait a minute. Phasma. Shout out to Phasma. Hanging out in chat. Appreciate you for hanging out with us. It's been a while. Shout out. Glad to see you for hanging out with us as well. Thank you. Shout out to Talos Ray. Splendiferous. Shout out to all you guys hanging out with us as well. But I asked, I kind of put out a tweet about the top 3 games coming out of Gamescom, and I kind of want to get your opinion on just what was Gamescom for you. And Jasper, we'll start with you. Kind of, where did it hit for you? What games, now you are you hyped about now coming out of Gamescom? Anything changed for you? Maybe went up or down on your list that you were maybe anticipating? So, what do you think about Gamescom overall? And then what do you just think about, what are you looking forward to?
Well, I've always kind of watched Gamescom. Like, it's always been on my radar. Like, I expected like a smaller show or a smaller presence here, but this year, like, Gamescom was like top notch. It was
maybe better than Summer Games Fest.
Yeah, it might have been even better than E3 week this year. Yeah. You could maybe argue Xbox show maybe carried E3 week again this year, and it may be better than that. But yeah, just Gamescom in general. Like, I've been saying after E3, it's like, look out for Gamescom, people. Look out for Gamescom, and it's like everyone kind of just like forgets about it. But I think now Gamescom is going to be on everyone's radar for the next year and the next year after that. So that's kind of where Gamescom's setting its feet now. It's going to be the next big show that people look forward to. For games that I'm interested in, I mean, we would be here all night just naming like 20 plus games.
So like, just give me like 3. Just give me 3 that you're
the one I'm about. Probably looking forward to the most, but it's probably the farthest away, is Off the Grid. It's Neil Blomkamp's Battle Royale game. They showed like a cinematic CGI trailer thing there, and that was just like mind blowing. It's cyberpunk world. It's going to be a BR, so you have like, there's a guy that has a grappling hook arm, so he's like, his hand like shoots off and it's like grappling hook. So whatever that BR game is, it's going to be crazy whenever that comes out. Trying to think of something from Keeley's that might be a little underlooked. Maybe Sonic Frontiers. I'm really looking forward to Sonic this year, and I haven't really seen too many people talk about it. They kind of downplayed that, so I would say put Sonic on your radar for this year. He showed that off a little bit more there. From Future Game Show, we showed Off the Grid, and from Xbox's show, Atomic Heart was the trailer that kind of stood out there. So that's out of the 3 shows. It's a game from each.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Okay. So I know I put my takes out on Twitter. I'll go last here, and I'll go over mine, but we'll throw this over to you, Pong. One, just the overall feel of the event this year, as well as your top 3. Now, I do want to say something, and he brought up a great point for you diving here, Pong.
Yeah,
I did think this Game Fest was a lot higher quality, a lot than I expected it to be. I didn't know what to think, but I did think that they put on a fantastic show. The pacing was good. I think this was better than Summer Games Fest. Yeah. I think Gamescom was a better show overall than what Keeley did this past summer. I think it was way better. The presentation was better. The announcers were better. I think even the games might have been better overall, if we just being honest about it. Right. So that's kind of where I'm at on it. But go ahead, man. Take it away.
Yeah, well, I mean, all that's true. The opening night live was what I expected from Summer Games Fest. This opening night live was that, right? That's what I thought it was going to be back during E3 week. So, yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And, of course, again, we got Kojima's podcast announcement. So, I mean, again, everything else is just extra side dishes, right? That's all that we got a whole buffet. But the main course was Kojima's podcast. So, and then let's not forget the mini Pokemon electric car too. That was highlights. Huge. I mean, that was highlights, man, right there. I was on the train too with Jasper. That this was going to be, if you remember when we talked about this, that this was going to be a better Gamescom than normal. We've had some announcements at Gamescom. So it's not like Gamescom is completely dead. We've had some good announcements in the past years. But I was telling everybody on all the shows that I expected this one to be a little different. When I saw all the bigwigs from Xbox going over there with the live audience being
back, say that. I remember.
Yep. I just had a feeling that we were going to get something. And Keeley had tweeted out himself, expect some surprises. You could hear the excitement in his voice. Now, you can take it or leave it with Keeley and what he does. I don't care about that stuff. Again, he's a net gain in this industry for me, no matter what he does. I think he pushes everything forward, but he was on top of his game. The stage setup, the live audience obviously brings a different energy. You could see it in Keeley himself, but the way that he set this up, yes, there were some dead points. Yes, the Kojima thing was really weird. The awards, dumb. Why do you have awards? And then again, we don't need to get into it, but Liza P being in the awards for PlayStation, but not for Xbox.
Not for
even though they had some of the same games in both categories for both, you don't include Liza P announced for Game Pass for Xbox's Most Wanted. Come on, man. Look. That's why he takes heat. Like I said in the chat when I was watching, because I couldn't live stream with Mab, but I said Keeley can never ask again why he takes heat after this. This is just ridiculous. This is weird.
But like you said, he's a net gain. So
yes,
the totality, he does, So
he does push the industry forward. He does give a lot, back to it as far as promotion and that kind of stuff. And yes, is a lot of it self-promotion? Of course it is. Of course it is. He's here for money as well. He's got to pay the bills. Listen, overall though, this was a mini E3. And for me, that surprised me, because for as much as I said to expect a little bit more, I also always prefaced it with, I'm not saying it's going to be like E3 week. Well, it actually turned out that way. Like,
I was expecting like 5 games, not
this. This was crazy. And we're not talking, funny enough, we've been talking about this too, PTK. Game companies seem to be showing games that are ready, that are more ready. We're going to see a lot of this stuff the next year. Yes, some of it will get pushed. Of course, we know that's going to happen. But this stuff is not 2024, 2025 stuff. A lot of this stuff we're going to see in the next 12 months. And it was insane how much new stuff there was in here. So yeah, loved this whole thing this week. Hands down, even Xbox's live stream for 4 hours, 5 hours, whatever the heck it was well paced, was entertaining, a lot of new information out of there. The only thing that we didn't get that I super wanted was the Age of Empires 4 console announcement. That's the only thing we didn't get that I was expecting this week. But they have the 25th anniversary coming up in October. They already mentioned they're going to be doing a special stream, so there's still hope that we get that announcement this year. As far as what stood out, look, like Jasper said, we could be here all night long. There was so much. I'll give you my top 3. First Descendant, which wasn't actually a part of it, but it got played the day before. I don't know why it wasn't in opening night live. I have zero clue. That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. It would have gotten lot more views than it did had it been there, and it's deserving. So First Descendant,
free to play, right?
No, that we don't know yet if it's free to play. We don't know anything about it. As far as that goes, multiplayer, class-based system, graphics, Unreal Engine 5. Although it is cross-gen, they are coming out with last gen, but like Steele said, that could mean we're getting 2 separate versions here. We'll have to wait and see. But what we was definitely current gen. Let me add this too, real quick, to my overall feelings. This is the first time that the majority of what I saw here, or a lot of what I shouldn't say majority, but a lot of what I saw in this week spoke to me like, we're finally starting to see current gen type games. We're starting to see things push forward in the graphics department, in some of the mechanics department.
Even in some of the smaller games shown too.
Even in some of the smaller games. Absolutely correct, PTK. First Descendant, they did that whole mix CGI gameplay, but they cut it so well, and the graphics, when they went to gameplay, matched the CGI so well, it was hard to tell. There was a lot of people who said it was just a full CGI trailer. No. There was tons of gameplay mixed in there. We're finally starting to see the tech. We're finally starting to see why we spent $500 on these machines. And that's what really got me excited about this week too. First Descendant, and then Where Winds Meet. Absolutely stunning. Eastern flavor. First Descendant is from the East. Where Winds Meet is also from the East. Steele and I talk about it constantly. If Phil wants to get in Japan, we've said if you can't get into Japan, you got to go for Korea. All these games are Korean, ex-Korean developers. Okay. Either they were in Korea and then moved, like Nexon, to Japan, or they are actually still in Korea. There's so much talent over there right now, but where winds meet, go back and watch this in 4K. You are getting an action RPG that has Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon elements to it. Walking on water, flying through the air. You got the magical aspects. They also talked about you're going to be able to pick a job in this game, which will influence how the world develops around you. You can become an architect and decide what buildings go up in the town. You can become a doctor and heal people. All of that will affect.
See, I didn't even know all of that.
Yeah, that came out after. Yes. Yeah. So I can't wait to hear more. This game has only been announced for PC. I think it's only a matter of time before it's announced from consoles. But what we saw on screen was so entirely cool. I can't wait to get my hands on this game. And then the final one, like Jasper, that came out late during the Xbox showcase, which was not or the Xbox after the second day where they were streaming, which was not expected, was Atomic Heart. Atomic Heart blew my mind yet again. I've been all over this game since I first saw it. Obviously, again, for the people who don't know, the developer is Munfish. They are located in Russia. There was some question of whether or not, because Microsoft did pull resources from Russia, all that kind of stuff. There was questions of whether or not this team would be able to get this game done, if it was going to be delayed till 2023, all that kind of stuff. Nobody expected to see a gameplay trailer here. And yet here we get one full of combat. Every time I see this game, this is one of those games that's so weird. But
it's like not BioShock had a baby.
Yeah, but it's not weird in a bad way. Like a lot of people feel like Scorn is weird in a bad way and it doesn't appeal to them. This is weird I'm still looking forward to Scorn, but this is weird in such a good way. I don't know what I'm watching. I don't have any idea what the story is supposed to be about. I have no idea even what the world is set in or what's going on in any frame that I'm looking at. But I just know that I want to play it and learn about it and find out what the hell is going on in this thing. That game just looks so... The combat looks like Doom combat at times with the speed. You got the weapons along with superpowers that you have. You're accessing AI robots from the small of their back with wires that come out of your hands and goes. Look, there's so much going on right now. I just want to be able to play this game. And the devs came out after the show, put out an official tweet from their official Twitter, and still said late 2022. And this is Game Pass day one. We could have a nice Christmas present come December time if they get this game out. Atomic Heart blew my mind. I can't wait. Those are my top three, probably. Again, there's a list of a million more I could go through, but those are my top three right there.
With that game, like the unicorn robot lady, I think what they're doing is they're pulling out nuclear keys out of their chest. So maybe it's like Atomic Heart, like you keep the nuclear keys close to your chest.
Okay, but why do you have to grow a unicorn horn and then stab the other one in the stomach and then unzip her stomach up to her chest to get the key? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that was like some sensual, like, I don't know where that was going.
I was wondering. When the other one dipped its head with the unicorn, I was like, where are we going?
Where are we doing with this? Right? Like, I don't know about this. But no, so I guess I'll go ahead and just give my three, because I put this tweet out. And once again, follow me, all the information down below. But I got three, like you said, that we could do this shit all day. This game was phenomenal. I don't usually put like a number on things, but this was better than Summer Games Fest. This is better than what Keeley did at Summer Game Fest, hands down. Like I said, from the game, the quality of the game, to the pacing, to just the event at face value. I think there was a huge benefit from it being in person this time. I think you could feel the energy with the people being on stage and the crowd as well, seeing all the new games. But I picked three games, one being High on Life, right? Shocker, not shocker at all. I think we're all super excited for the game. Game Pass day one, right? I want to dive in. I want to shoot kids. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to shoot kids. So I want to shoot the 30-year-old alien that said he was a kid. I don't want to get the podcast shut down. So YouTube, don't worry about what I just said.
Fresh meat.
I know. But so High on Life, that was I put that at the top of my list because it just intrigues me so much. I'm curious the different type of weapons and the interaction between the weapons and the dialogue and how that pushes the story along. I've never quite seen anything like that. I don't think we've ever had anything like that where your weapons are like part of the dialogue. Maybe kind of there have been some things, but never. I mean, I guess Cortana kind of counts, but she's like an AI, not really a weapon. But like
Cyberpunk had a talking weapon as well.
Okay, so that makes sense. So were they like an integral part of the story? So it's really cool to see how they're implementing these different weapons that you get throughout the story. So that will be one. Two would be Callisto Protocol. Now, EA, you might as well go ahead and shut it down. There's no point in even. I don't even know why you're attempting to do a remake. Like, please don't even bother. Like, we don't really need it now. I understand that may piss off some Dead Space fans that do want to see that remake, but look, Callisto Protocol, that game is where it's at. Dead Space vibes all the way. And I'm not really big into like creepy kind of horror jump scare games, but I'm gonna sit down and get some time into this game, and it still should be on track for December, right?
Yeah,
still is what they're saying. And once again, this is one of the few big games that we didn't really see get moved. So hopefully it does stay where it's at. But I'm super excited, man. So watching that video game clip with him being able to, all I saw was Isaac all over again. All I saw was Isaac just without the suit. All I saw was him all over again, and you being able to do really cool shit, dismemberment, and just how you're able to use the environment and the weapons. There's nothing like it. The atmosphere is so freaking creepy, and anything can happen at any moment. I love it. So that was high on my list. Last one would be Atlas Fallen. Now, this is a very, 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 I'm very, very curious about this game. I don't remember, and I'm super for not. So who was the developer? Weren't they former, who's the developer for Atlas Fallen? I didn't do my research.
That I'm not sure.
Pull that up real quick. Chat, let me know. Because they were, aren't they former? They're from another company, I believe.
Deck 13, and it's Focus Entertainment is the publisher.
So Focus Entertainment is a publisher, but the game looked amazing. Like I don't know what's going on, but the game looked amazing. Looked like some type of you have the ability to control the sand of some sort. Maybe you have some type of tie to the land, because you look like you can kind of use the sand kind of at a whim with your weapons and different things like that. So and it looked like there were two characters. Gave me what's that game with oh goodness,
what, Outriders or
no, not Darkstalkers, the other game, with Fury and the different Jesus Christ, with the different with War, and I can't even think of the name of the game. You know what I'm talking about, Jasper?
You're gonna have to tell me more.
So that was the name.
Yeah. You're talking about. Oh my God, why can't I think of it offhand? Somebody in the chat's gonna get it.
Chat, come on. You gotta
come on, man.
Oh,
I don't know.
Someone said Darksiders. Is that
it?
Darksiders. Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah. Sorry, chat. We get old, but anyway. So they gave me a lot of Darksiders vibes with the way you move around the environment, and it looked. I mean, the characters did look a little similar-ish as well with the armor and things, but that game looked insane. So I'm super excited for that. Once again, there was a bunch of other stuff too. We could be on this all night, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw this back over to you first. So you get your
well, I'll start off with what was my initial three, because I kind of was in and out of watching like the opening night type of thing, so I missed a few things and some of the things that came later. But the first three that really caught my eye was basically High on Life, just seeing additional gameplay of that, and then there was also Callisto Protocol. That let's just put it this way: after not playing Dead Space, I know what I kind of got a feeling of what I may have missed out on, and I just love what I'm seeing as far as the ability to have like that you grab them and you can throw them into the grinder, and you can see all the bits and pieces go flying. And then there's the ones where like it looks like they went through the grinder, and if you don't kill them fast enough, they'll start growing additional tentacles or reforming and stuff. So just all of that stuff that I saw in that, just I can't wait for that one. I'm not much into the jump scare games, but I'm definitely for like the whole sci-fi aspect of that thing. So I can't wait on that one. And then the last one was Dead Island. Finally, like, and it's not that it was like the greatest looking game, but after so long of that thing, being kind of like in limbo and getting to see what it looks like, and it's more of like the way Dying Light 1 looked for me, as far as, but it's more of like it's in the US, and it's a lot more.
It's a bit more arcadey as well.
Yeah, and it just looks like it's going to be just pure like not dumb fun, but just fun in general, as far as all the different element stuff that you'll be able to combine with your weapons and things like that. And I'm looking forward to that one. But then I saw later Atomic Heart, and that's one that I've kind of been trying to keep an eye on. And I remember when they did the trailer before, where it said it was going to come out in a month that ends in ER, and it's like, oh, is it September, October, November, December? But it kind of went silent, and with the war and whatnot, I kind of figured up that's another 2023 along with Stalker 2 or something. But to see that they're still on track, to see the additional combat stuff, like I was already sold on this game from the earlier stuff, and it's like, yeah, it's this weird, like if Russia had like alien tech early on and took over the world, that's kind of the look it has to me. And it just, so much of the mechanical stuff and just the way like the boss fight stuff, like that ball thing that just rolls past you, and as it rolls past you, you're seeing the
looks like the
debris
Incredibles.
I was gonna say the Incredibles. Yeah, I was gonna say that too.
Yeah, it just looks awesome, and I can't wait to play that one either. But those are the four. But I would say at this point in time, Atomic Heart's probably at the top of the list, and the other three are fighting for number 2. So it just kind of falls that way, I guess.
So I wanna give some shout outs too. There's a couple other games too before I miss here. And shout out to Jedi. He just reminded me. Obviously, Liza P looks amazing.
Yes.
Another game coming to Game Pass. Liza P as well. Then another game coming to Game Pass. I know Wu Long. put out some gameplay as well. Looks amazing. Game looks fucking Team Ninja all the way. I can see Ninja Gaiden through and through with the different gameplay. It's probably going to be a difficult game, which I'm up for. I love the hell out. Ninja Game was probably the last game that I bought that was deliberately hard that I played the hell out of. It was hard on purpose. Ninja Gaiden Black was hard. Matter of fact, I think that was harder than the original, than the regular version. I believe they redid it over, but loved it. Looked amazing. And then another game that's not really getting a lot of play, and it gave me heavy Ori vibes, was that Last Case of Benedict Fox.
Oh yeah.
It looked amazing. Amazing. I know it's a smaller game, and once again, chat. If you're not up on it, go back and watch it. It's on. You can find the video on YouTube. I don't know how long
that one's coming to Game Pass.
Xbox,
Game Pass as well. Yeah,
Xbox put out a new trailer for that on their show, and it kind of like told some more kind of story, and like you saw some more gameplay of it. So if you like interested in what the story is, I would say go watch the Xbox trailer for that, because they kind of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I like how the upgrades involve like a tattoo to give you more abilities and things like that. Well, I look at it this way. That's going to be a game I wind up double dipping. I'll play it on Game Pass, and I'll probably wind up still picking it up on Steam for my Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Can we say this too? What a just for a minute here. What a win Liza P is for Xbox and Game Pass.
Yes.
Again, a game. Shout out to Benji Sales, great member of this community. He talked about after they showed it how much steam this game had on social media, how many people were searching for it, looking it up, and watching it. Obviously, we know the award for most wanted PlayStation game went to Liza P, but now that it's on Game Pass day and date, it's automatically, we talk about this all the time, associated with Xbox at this point. It's that Game Pass effect. It doesn't matter if it's not exclusive. Once it's showing up in Game Pass, it's an automatic win. And, shout out to the studio. This is a studio, for those of you that don't know, that made Blessed Unleashed, which is a multiplayer game. They came from a multiplayer game, and they talked about this on the Xbox stage the second day during the stream. They thought, hey, we really want to do a single player game, and we thought it was going to be easy. And they're like, we found out that making a single player game isn't that easy at all. And so shout out to them for bringing this out. Again, this is going to get a lot of fans excited. The Bloodborne fans want it because of the aesthetic. Now, I listened to Jez today on the Xbox 2, shout out the Xbox 2, and he played this game, obviously, out there. He said it actually plays more like Dark Souls than it does Bloodborne. But he said that it is fantastic. It's by no means an open world, but he said they have a lot of unique mechanics in there. Again, I pointed this out. The devs talked about it. You can create over 1,000 different weapon combinations to use. So this game for Xbox to get, this is one of those types of games. Again, Sony's got Bloodborne exclusive. Why they haven't done a remaster, remake, or a number 2 yet with From, I have no idea, because they should be capitalizing all over this. But I think Liza P, the hype behind it might push them to announce that soon, maybe early next year. But I think that Liza P is going to be a huge, huge win for Xbox. And a lot of people, again, maybe they're not subscribed to Game Pass right now. They're going to try it out for $10. They're going to jump into that game and try it out and see what happens. And all of a sudden they're going to discover this ecosystem and how many games are in there. But this was a big one. It showed off fantastic. And, again, this is what we wanted to see coming from these types of game shows. And we got it here in spades. And Liza P was one of the top ones. Even though none of us named it as top 3, that doesn't matter. I'm not a Souls guy, and I don't think everybody here is necessarily Souls guys. But for the rest of the people who are Souls fans, this is like one of their top most anticipated games now of 2023 easily. So this was a big W for Xbox and Game Pass.
If it has that Elden Ring effect, like Elden Ring this year when it came out, everyone was talking about it. Everyone was like, what is this? Where can I get it? So if it has that effect, people will just like see, it's the cheapest option is just on my TV Game Pass or whatever, So that's where they get the numbers.
Yep, absolutely. And I do want to highlight something here. We're going to take questions too. So chat, let us know. Drop them questions down in chat. We got about 20 minutes left or so before we wrap this thing up. So drop your questions. We'll try and get to as many as we possibly can. I do want to highlight something you said at the end, Pong, and I don't want to lose this. Chat, I don't want you guys to lose this. This highlights how big of a fucking W Game Pass is. Mm-hmm. So I want to reiterate this point. Xbox has no first-party games this year. 0. Like, they don't have any. None.
Come on now, Pentiment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
And Jez says it's better than... I'm hyped for it. I want to play Pentiment, and Jez says it's actually really better. But you got to remember Pentiment.
I believe in Pentiment as well. And no disrespect to Pentiment. You know what I meant, right?
Yeah,
like, I hope you know what I meant. So, just so we don't get it misconstrued, shout out to Pentiment. I think the game is going to be a lot better than people giving it credit for as well. But I think this just highlights how effective Game Pass is in a year in which they do not have any first parties. Well, I know Ground is coming out too. Thank you, Chad. I appreciate you guys correcting me. But any of those games that we expected to come out, some of the newer first party games, the Redfalls, the Starfields, that Game Pass is buoying. This Game Pass is carrying Xbox throughout the holidays, and it's a huge W. It's such a great like alternative for developers. We're getting a ton of third-party stuff that otherwise we would have to pay for, and we probably wouldn't have access to, a lot of us. So and I want to highlight that, Pong, because I don't want people to lose this. Like, don't forget that Xbox there's a lot missing from Xbox's lineup this year, and Game Pass is doing so well, people forgot about it. People have completely forgotten because we have so many things falling in the Game Pass.
Absolutely, 100%. And again, this is what we talked about this. I know the AAA home runs aren't there for the first party. Again, it's spilled milk. We're past that point. Next year is going to be absolutely insane, but there's going to be something for everybody because of Game Pass through the second half of the year, coming into holidays especially. There's going to be something there for you to play. And this, again, more third parties showing up at these shows, announcing Game Pass day and date, even when we're not hearing about these big deals. I know a lot of people wanted Saints Row or Gotham Knights to show up in there, but here we are still talking about the possibility of having a great second half of this year anyways. Yes, missing some obvious things, but at the end of the day, we're still going to have more than we know what to do with the play, and that's going to continue next year. But next year, that's when those home runs start coming, and then look out, because the value of Game Pass then goes through the roof. It's already the best value. Now you're talking about even more. So yeah, you're right, PTK. The power of Game Pass is going to carry them this fall into the holidays for sure, especially when that Friends and Family comes out.
Oh yeah. And we can matter of fact, that's a great segue. I know we're waiting on questions from chat, so shout out to anybody dropping questions in there. I don't want to miss any. Let me see. Matter of fact, I want to talk about the Friends and Fuzz. Can you lead us on the Friends and Family?
Oh yeah, like I think now that they've officially put it out there, Friends and Family, it eliminates any question or any doubt on who can be added to that program. So when that is actually released, I know there were a few people who were like, well, is it just going to be for the people in the household, or can I have, my brother that's across the country? As long as he's in the same country, it shouldn't be a problem. But I think with the way game sharing is for a lot of people where, their friend has their home console and they have their friend's home console, you can continue to have that same type of share, by adding them to the the friends and family Game Pass tier. So it's awesome to see that they are at least clearing it up and making it known that you don't have to be a blood relative and that you don't have to be necessarily in the same household. So it's cool to see that they're at least putting that out there to counter any like negative questions like, oh, they'll probably cancel your subscription if they found out it's not real. No, they're making it clear right off the get go. And when that thing comes out, I can't wait, because I'm looking forward to going from having 3 what do you call them, ultimate subscriptions to just doing this, and then hopefully from there it'll make it easier for me to focus on getting some more games either on the boys' PC or my own PC, or just the additional games that are outside Game Pass. It'll be a little bit easier on the wallet at that point, and I can't wait.
So I got a quick question too, and I'm gonna throw this over to you, Jasper, because this question is obviously going to be asked. The second this is formally announced by Xbox, Jasper, I wonder, the question is going to be asked, what's going to be Sony's response? Right? Like, what are they going to do regarding any type of family? Now,
you might
once
find
again,
about that in like 5 years when they decide.
Oh, here
to
you
make
go. Well, just humor me, just for the sake of the show, right? Just for the sake of the podcast, humor me. But I'm not, and this is not, once again, I'm not trying to, but it's going to be a question. It's going to be a legitimate question. A second after this goes live and it's official, and we get this announcement, people are going to wonder, well, Sony's already kind of behind the 8 ball starting this Game Pass like service. They're starting to get theirs kind of up and running. It doesn't function the same way, but it's similar enough, right? So what we call a direct competitor. But when this hits, what do you think the response is going to be?
Honestly, I don't think Sony says anything, because I don't think they've thought far enough ahead with their like technology wise. Like, I don't think they've thought about sharing accounts or any of that. I mean, I don't have a PlayStation, so I'm not really sure too much how the account system works on there, but I don't believe you can like share accounts as easily as you can with Xbox. So I don't know if that technology is built into Sony yet to where you would be able to link accounts with a family plan or something like that. But
okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. So I mean, you don't think Sony does anything? You don't think there's any response? Quiet.
They just push their new service they launched like last month or whatever.
Okay, I mean, to be fair though, I think that's the only thing they can do. Like, to be honest, like you said, I think they're just not. They don't have the infrastructure. They're not really set up for this yet. And like you said, they're still trying to get that off the ground. But I want to throw that over to you too, Pong. Kind of that question, like, where do you think that response come from, if any, or do you agree with Jasper? Are we not going to get anything?
Yeah, we're not going to get anything. They're going to continue to focus on doing what they need to do just to try to catch up at this point to some of the places that they're behind. They're not going to have a response. There's no way they're going to be able to respond. We saw them just pass the cost of inflation onto the consumers. Hey, listen, no, and I'm not trying to be messy. I'm not. I'm really not. When you see a move like that and you honestly think they're going to give you a price break to add friends and family to their premium service, no. They're not going to do that. There's no way. They couldn't justify it to the board. There's no way they could do that. They're not ready. They're not ready for that kind of next step. They got to get through the first step before they can move on to that. They're still trying to figure out how to get third-party games in there. There's bidding wars going on behind the scenes. They're still trying to build up that service to get it to a respectable level next to Game Pass. They're still trying to create value. There's no way in hell they're going to spend money by giving you a price break. There's just not. They're not going to do it. So I don't see any kind of response at all.
Okay, now I didn't really ask you about just your overall idea of the friends and family plan as well, what you think about it, but I kind of wanted to get that one out of the way because I was super curious. But what's your overall opinion on just the friends and family? Now, another thing too we didn't talk about, and surprise Fuzz didn't mention this, but I'm sure he'll double back on it, is cost. We already did. There are already some leak quite costs, right? Like, we already saw some leak stuff. We don't know if any of that's true. Like, I'm curious of where the costs are going to lie with this as well.
Well, I'm hoping it's the leak stuff is accurate. Like, if it's 25, I'm there. In fact, even if it's 30, I'm there because I'm already at the 45 mark. So 30 would be fine, but 25 would be even better. If I think the biggest thing that I just have the question mark on is I keep on seeing it as just Game Pass, and I want to see if there's like a Game Pass Ultimate family plan. Like I want to make sure that I'm still getting the online stuff and some of the extras that you get with like the cloud gaming and the PC stuff. So like when they do that family plan, I'm hoping it's not just a basic Game Pass. I'm hoping it's Ultimate, but I'm thinking 25 might be for basic, and if it's 35, as long as it's under 45 for Ultimate, I'm good. Like, but I'm hoping it's closer to 30 or 25 for an Ultimate family plan. That's just my hopes, I guess you could say.
Where you at on that, Pong?
They to
Jasper, go
Fuzzy's
ahead.
point, Tom Warren came out today with an article on The Verge where he was discussing more details that kind of came out about that.
Mm-hmm.
So the current price right now is $21.99 per month in Ireland, whatever their currency is, for Ultimate Game Pass family plan, and there's a regular one that's $12.99 per month. I think is what they're saying.
Wow.
Hey, I'm not going to question I'm not going to question that kind of deal. If they can make that stick when they release it to the general public, I don't even know what Sony can do at that point. I think they will just have to focus on something else. They can't talk about the family plan. They'll have to be like, all right, we got Crunchyroll in PS Plus and something else that will be like a different but like a cool add-on type of thing. But I don't think they're going to be able to compete with those pricings. Not even in the slightest. Maybe 5 years from now, like Jasper said. But those prices are awesome. Fingers crossed.
Where you at on that, Pong?
With what? Didn't I just say?
Well,
didn't I just say they're not going to be able to do anything? They're not going to be able to do anything.
No, not that. Not that. I just meant overall. Yeah, just the price.
Yeah. No, overall, again, I've been saying from the beginning, I thought it was going to come in at like 35. I mean, that's what I thought. So if they come in, like Fuzzy said, anywhere between $21.99 and $30.
That's in Irish money.
Yeah, that's in Irish money. So $25 here. If they come in anywhere in between $25 and $30 here, it's a ridiculous. Again, I can't even fathom that. And the fact that they've given up all pretense that this is just going to be family members and that was supposedly they're going to call it friends and family, like that just is open season, and they know it and they get it and they understand it. Again, it's so hard to explain because so many people have gotten so used to subscription services and so used to all these stuff in their life. As an old-time gamer who came back before we had anything remotely resembling this kind of value and being offered this, the way that Xbox is going about this, they are literally Microsoft themselves, the corporation, now that they're behind this, they are putting so much money. They're investing so much money into Xbox, more than any other company in this gaming industry. It is absolutely mind-blowing every time some figures like this come out or we hear, $70 billion purchase for Activision Blizzard. Like this is ridiculous. There is no reason why at that point, if it comes out between $25 and $30, that you don't see huge conversions of people, that you don't see an excess flood of people coming into this ecosystem, which is exactly what they're hoping for, exactly what they want. You got to imagine this is going to come out sometime this year. If they get the Activision Blizzard deal approved and through by the end of the year, you're going to have all that announcement. You're going to see all the old Call of Duties come in there. Look, this is a juggernaut at some point that's just not going to be able to be stopped in any way, shape, or form. It already is. But at some point, this is going to get out to the masses to a point where everybody just goes, wait a minute, you don't have Xbox? You don't have Game Pass? You're not a part of somebody's friends and family for $5 a month. What's going on? What are you doing, man? What are you doing? It's just going to come to that point where it's such a big part of the mind share out there that it's undeniable anymore. It's just really crazy to me that they're trying to go this route so fast with so much behind them in Microsoft. It really is impressive what they're doing here if they pull this off.
Yeah, it's crazy how this is all going to play out, right? This chess match between this pricing, right? Because Xbox, seems like the companies are going two different directions, but I think that directly relates to the two big brothers here, right? Sony Corporation and Microsoft, right? Yeah. Like Microsoft has a far bigger bag compared to Sony. Like, listen, like we're not even talking about like not even they're not in the same universe.
And Microsoft's goals are so much bigger.
That's
Microsoft's
true as well.
goals dwarf what Sony had in mind up until recently. So that's another big thing. Again, that's a paradigm shift within Microsoft Corp. When they figured out the vision for Xbox and how that piece of their gigantic corporation was actually going to enhance their Azure servers, their cloud infrastructure, and their presence and their competition versus AWS.
It's literally
Once
the
they
showcase.
figured that out, yeah, it changes everything. And their goals all of a sudden became, hey, we're not just talking about Earth, we're talking about the solar system now. Whereas Sony was still focused on Earth, right? And that's the difference here in a lot of ways, outside of the obvious war chest, the bank behind them, all of that. Yes, that all comes into play. But their ideas, their vision for what this industry is going to look like 20 years from now, 10 years from now, is completely different than what Sony was thinking about up until just very, very recently. And you could see the difference right now.
Yeah, it's just crazy to see here. So I do want to get to one person's question here. I know Splendiferous, you've been dropping the question down in chat.
Can I shout out Abacab real quick too?
Yeah, go ahead.
Shout out to Abacab real quick because I had to dip out of the Xbox 2 before the end of the show, and he came in here because I was talking about Age of Empires 4 and disappointment not hearing the console. He said Jez, because I asked Jez on Twitter if he had a chance to check around on it, and he said not yet, mate. And Abacab said that Jez did bring it up on the Xbox 2 show, and that he has heard that it's still in production, but they've gone dark. But he said the menus are set up for controller. He can tell that it's easy for the controller to get that UI to work. So it's still in the works. It's just taking longer than they expected. So
okay, well that's
good
news.
Fingers. But shout out to Abacab for bringing that up. Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, good news. So let me get to this question before we wrap this up, man. Shout out to Splendiferous. He said, do you think Sony raising prices in the UK and not in the US will cause their sales to suffer for the rest of the year in this holiday year, or holiday, especially with a potential 199 Series S and a 425 Series X? You just answered your own. This is a rhetorical question, I assume, right? But yeah, absolutely, it's going to. I mean, people know what deals are. So listen. We all understand Twitter's not everybody. I think we all can take a step back and understand that, right? So I know it feels like about? Oh well, yeah. Surprise, Pong. Come on. I'm sorry, Pong. It's revealed. It's been
Honestly,
revealed.
Though, I don't think it would hurt their sales this year because I think there's enough people that still want one that will buy it.
That may be the case as well too. That may be the demand. I believe still far exceeds what's currently available. So I still think as long as that exists, there's going to be people still buying the console as soon as it hits the store. So maybe it won't take a dip. But I don't know. Pong, you want to dive in on this too?
Yeah, I was laughing because I was in our DMs when this all hit, and I said if I was Phil, I would have a 199 marketing campaign right now. If I'm sitting on a pile of S's right now, I'm already out. I'm already out, and I said I would have the Game Pass friends and family out come September, and it would be over with. I would be putting my boot all over this neck right now. What I don't think it's going to hurt Sony sales, but what it is going to do is increase Xbox's sales, because the people that can't find a PS5 right now that have the price increase in their country or their area, they're going to look and they're going to buy their companion console first. A lot of people are going to say, you know what? I can't get a PS5 right now. The price just got increased. Man, prices in general for real life just aren't going anywhere. So if I can't have a PS5, it's more expensive. Xbox is offering so much value. I'm just going to pick up an S for $199. That's something I can budget in at $199 with the friends and family plan. I get all access to all these games. My kids can play. Look, we're good to go. And so I think that portion of it is kind of, it kind of goes hand in hand. Yeah, the demand's going to be so high that, PS5, it's not going to hurt their sales. They're still going to sell out. But I think the S at a $199 price point goes through the roof for all those people that can't find a PlayStation 5.
And at that price, the parent maybe gets it for the kids and be like, well, I could get two of them and maybe play with my kid and get like bond with my kid more.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, true. So no, once again, it's a great problem. So Xbox was, and this is why we got to give them their flowers, right? Especially for the chess move, the calculated moves they've been making to start this generation off. Having that second lower price SKU where the power difference, I mean, there's a difference in power, but it's still a extremely highly capable console. That's the key to the S. It's still a very, very, it's not even the price. Believe it or not, like, surprise people, it's not the price. It's the fact that it's still a capable machine is what sells it.
Exactly, because they find out, whoever's shopping finds out, hey, it plays all the same games, just not, necessarily at 4K or whatever. If they do some research, that's not going to deter some people. Most people don't have a 4K TV that's going to take advantage of it. So that's not going to deter people. And think about this. If they hit the 199 mark, which I truly believe, even with everything going on, they're going to do at some point this holiday. In some of these countries, you could buy 3 S's to one PlayStation 5. Think about that. Just like Jasper said, you could deck out 2 kids and the parents could have one, all for the same price as a PS5, and then just go on a monthly subscription plan, which gives you access to nearly 400 games. And if they get the Activision Blizzard deal, it's going to be almost 500 games. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I think there's a deal right now for a Series S. It's like $230, but it includes Madden, so it brings it up to like $300. If you just take out Madden, it's already $230. You just need to knock off another $30.
Yeah.
Just like,
right.
Yep. It's an awesome play. That's a hell of a I told you, Game Pass, NES. I put this out in a tweet a couple days ago. Those are the 2 things that are going to define this generation. It's 2 chess moves that can't really be countered at this point. So kudos to Xbox, man. But I think we're actually going to go ahead and wrap it up here, man. It's been a great show. Shout out to everybody that came in and watched live. I've seen some new names in here. Shout out to everybody that hung out with us. Hopefully you guys enjoyed yourself, and we'll come back and see us every single week here at the Shop Podcast. But before we go, you know what we do. On your way out, hit the like button. If you're new here, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed it. But I do want to give our guests here the right outro. So shout out to you, Jasper, for hanging out with us, man. Like I said, last minute coming through in a clutch. Appreciate you, man. Hopefully you had a good time. And once again, this will not be the last time you're on the show. But thank you, bro, for coming and hanging out here. But let everybody know where they can find you, brother.
Appreciate it. Also, you can check me out, Lord Jasper on Twitter, Lord Master Jasper on YouTube. Probably next week, Battlefield and Destroy All Humans both come out on Tuesday. So whichever one goes first, I'll probably kind of stream a little bit of that. So check that out if you want to. Monday nights, I'm on FSP on Fun Speculation Channel with Fuzzy and Psychonauts and Mav. 3-Bit sometimes is there whenever he's free. He does his stuff there. It's Monday night at 10 o'clock Eastern, and then Xbox Ultimate Friday night, same channel, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's mainly Xbox show. We kind of talk about random stuff. We go left, we go right. We just have fun over there. So check that out.
Appreciate you, man. And if that's too hard to do, please just go down in the description. All of that information is down in there. Go ahead and follow him on Twitter. I'm sure that's going to be the easiest way to keep up, man. I appreciate you once again, Jasper. Shout out to all the FSP fam coming through as well. I know Mav was in here earlier. Shout out to Psycho. He was in here as well. Let me get this quick super chat because we definitely got to support the people here. Shout out to Gabe for the $4.99 super chat. He said, I have 3 children under 15 years old. They do not know what Game Pass or PS Plus is. I own both a PS5 and Series X. So I don't know. Maybe that was just in context. So I was talking about, Game Pass. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure it's beneficial. 3 kids at 15. That's right around that age where having Game Pass is, beneficial to your wallet. I have no doubt. So I don't know if that's what you were highlighting, but hopefully you're taking advantage of that. I would say if you aren't Gabe, go ahead and get yourself Game Pass because it's going to be beneficial to you in very, very shortly here, especially having 3 kids all around that age. But let me go ahead and throw this over to my compatriots here. You guys are awesome. They make me look good every single week, make this thing look easy. Shout out to you, Pong, once again. Hard-hitting topics, bro. Bringing it. We had a lot to talk about this week, but it was a great show, man.
Yeah, no, this was fun. Again, love the new format, love everything. Obviously, you brothers are awesome, and obviously to get to do another show with Jasper after carrying him in Battlefield, rescuing him nonstop because he just runs out in the open like a Rambo trying to get his KDs, and I got to save his butt all the damn time. So listen, no, this is awesome. Love getting, again, it's always great, especially these weeks, ending my Saturday night of podcasting here with you guys. I've heard a lot of different opinions, but I get fresh takes here as well from UPTK. Obviously, I've heard some of Fuzzy's, some of Jasper's, but we always come at it from a different perspective here, and the chat adds to that as they throw out comments. So all of that makes this a special place to be Saturday nights. Thank you all for that chat. You know already nothing but love and respect for coming out and supporting this show and all the shows that you listen to. Thank you for being here. Otherwise, Pong Soul on Xbox, Pong Soul on Twitter, where I just hit a milestone, just surpassed 3,000 followers on Twitter, which is absolutely insane. It's crazy to me, but appreciate all of you for following me there. So if you aren't already, go ahead and do that. I'm not as active on Twitter as I used to be, but I still try to post things and retweet things as I see them. So you can follow me there. Otherwise, I won't be on Factor Podcast this week, Xbox Factor on Tuesdays, but you go check it out. Double Barrel Gaming, Mr. Boomstick, All Good Things Green, every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time, full panel each and every week, and you're going to get the good talk there. So be there no matter what. Thursday, I actually will have an extra show on Thursday afternoon. It has not been announced yet, so I will let the host go ahead and do that. So keep your eyes open. And then, of course, I will be on PM in the PM. Me and Mav are going to get it down to business. Go check out this week's show if you haven't. We went for almost 4.5 hours. We had a living split screen show. Okay. Big Cloud Gaming jumped in with us for the first part, which was awesome. We got a
Big Cloud.
Yeah, we got a Sony, a level-headed Sony fan's perspective on everything happening with Sony and some of the Gamescom stuff. It was an amazing show. We had a great time, but we do that every Thursday. Normally it's 2.5 hours, so we don't normally do the 4-hour shows, but it turned out because of so much news this week, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time, Fun Speculations channel, and then back over there again for Xbox Ultimate. Of course, Friday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time, where you get laughs, you get great discussion, you get it all at Xbox Ultimate, so be there on Friday nights. And then, of course, Saturday mornings, where it's at, Living Split Screen, all one word. My brother from another Steel Rain and I, we did 4.5 hour marathon yet again today, and we didn't even get to the Phil interview. Okay, that's how Steele and I roll. All right, so Steele had an extra show today over on Games on Daily. Shout out to the crew over there. So we could not go further, but every Saturday morning, you're going to get your energy. Just show up, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. BST time, UK time. Be there. Otherwise, I'll be right back here next Saturday night. Listen, Golden Age of Gaming is here, folks. If you haven't believed me up to this point, I don't know how much more proof you need. So get out there this weekend, enjoy it. Play what you love what you play, and I'm going to talk to you all real soon.
And I want to give a quick shout out to the Steel, man. Steel is one of my favorites, man. You and Steel, so do yourself a favor, really, for real here. No bullshit. Saturday mornings, please go check out Living Split Screen. One of the great shows that we have on YouTube. Pong and Steel, the synchronization, they put on a great show. It's 4.5 hours. You can put it on in the background, do whatever you're doing. It's a great show, keep you entertained. So shout out to Big Steel, man. Great dude in the community, always showing love, man. I got to make sure I get that out there too. But last but not least, I almost missed the super chat. My bad, Mav. $5 super chat here from Mav, said, love the shop. We love you. That's that FSP love. You guys didn't know, we're kind of joined at the hip with FSP. We're low key, like just join. We just swap ideas, swap members randomly, things like that. So shout out to Mav, Caitlin, everybody over there at FSP. We got 3 members here on the panel right now. So like I said, we kind of joined at the hip. But let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz. Go ahead and wrap this up for us, brother.
Yeah, it's kind of like the extended family, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, it was just awesome being on here with you guys, and awesome having you, Jasper. Always love hearing your takes on things. And Pong, it's
absolutely.
It is always so much fun having someone that's been gaming as long as I have, and hands down, you are the encyclopedia of gaming, man. You are the go-to for, from games, just everything from the detail on the devs to the detail on the design.
Pong had to make the books for it.
I know, right?
No, but awesome insight on everything, and same thing with you, PTK. Love your takes on things and how you look at gaming in general, and the fun you have within it, and the energy you get from just chit chatting with us about it and stuff. It's awesome being here with you guys. So love being here. Love the chat. Thank you guys for interacting with us and watching us live. And for anybody that catches us later, thank you. Thank you for checking us out and everything. But for any of those that want to hear my endless rambling on anything gaming, just follow me on Twitter at @fuzzy_Belvedere. Or you can catch me and Mav, Fun Speculation, as well as Lord Master Jasper, Psychonauts, and 3-Bit on FSP, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mondays on Fun Speculations channel. Breakfast with Boom on Double Barrel Gaming with Mr. Boomstick, Web Dave, Psychonauts, sorry, not Psychonauts, Dreadpool and John Wolf on occasion. And that's at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm sorry, in the morning. And then later on that night with the rest of the family, with Pong, Mav, Psychonauts, Jasper, Caitlin, and anyone else in the FSP family that comes out on Xbox Ultimate at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday. It is a good time to hang out. And then right back here with the family on the Shop Podcast at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on PTK Blam's channel. Thank you guys so much for coming out.
Man, appreciate you every single week for us, bringing that smoothness, man, getting the show all cleaned up. Thank you so much for that, sir. But last but not least, your host here with the most, PTK Blam, across the board. Follow me. All that information is down in the description below. But once again, poll of the week Monday. More than likely, we'll have a guest next week. I'll go ahead and throw that out there on Monday, so just look forward to that as well, besides the poll of the week on Monday. But chat, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for giving us energy. Come back next week. We're going to do this shit all over again. Enjoy your weekend. Peace out, everyone.
Bye.
Later.
Battlefield, go play it.